Let's welcome our Baywatch panel to the Hollywood Show. Today we're lucky to have Brandy Roderick, Nicole Edgert, Jason Simmons, Brandy Ledford, Tracy Bingham, David Chokachi, Angelica Bridges, Erica Eleniak, Kelly Packard, and Brandon Call. Not everybody is with us yet, but they're going to join us shortly. So thanks for being here, everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start off with one question, let you all have a chance to answer and talk. What was the casting process like for Baywatch? And once you were cast, how much lifeguard or life-saving training did you receive to prepare for the show? And we'll maybe start over here on the left.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the question. Can you repeat?
Sure. What was the casting process like for Baywatch? And once you were cast, how much lifeguard or life-saving training did you receive in preparation for your being on the show? And how good of a swimmer were you to start off with?
Okay, with that, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am a swimmer, but when I was cast on the show, and obviously you have to know how to swim, my swimming wasn't that great. So I was swimming in my friend's pool, and I was just swimming like a maniac, and my hair was out, and it was just all over the place. So do you know, from that moment when my hair was out and all over the place, my first scene that I did on Baywatch, my first line of the show, it was with David Chokachi, and I got stuck. And by the way, I was so nervous, honey, because you're so hot, you're still hot. And if you get a chance to smell him, you smell so good. Anyway, so I got stuck with this. Yeah, line it up. My hairstyle was back off of my face, off of my forehead, and it was in this big, like, kind of pompadour hairstyle, and I hated that look on me. But it got stuck that way because when I was swimming in my friend's pool like a maniac, my hair knotted up, and I couldn't get the knot out. So the only way to hide this knot was to put it under all of my hair. So that's how that was my look, hair off my face with a pompadour, because I was practicing my swimming. So just want to give you that. So to make a long story short, because I speak in novels, my process was very grueling. It was a swim test, it was an audition, there was thousands of women of color on the show, and it got down to like 10, then it got down to 4, and then I booked it, and I was so nervous. I couldn't speak. It was with Hasselhoff and Greg Bonin and Doug Schwartz and Michael Burke. All the producers, the directors, the casting agents, stylists, and everyone were staring at me like you all are, asking me a million questions, and I didn't know that I got it because I don't even know what I said when they were asking me questions. I got home, and I got a phone call from my manager. Congratulations, she just booked the show. So Tracy Bingham from Boston booked the show, and it was an amazing thing, and they wanted to have a Tracy Bingham Day parade all over the city of Cambridge. By the way, I went to high school with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I got all the scoop. Yes, and Max Casella from Doogie Howser. I could go on. I'll give the mic to Angelica, but you get the point. I nailed it. Woman of color, yay. Here we go.
I'll be short and sweet. In my audition, right after I went in, they said you're gonna go down to the tank. And so I was sent downstairs at production offices. They gave me a red suit to put on, and then they sent me to the tank, which is the pool type of, I don't even know what the heck it is, where they would shoot underwater scenes on their little studio lot. And so I actually had to do swimming and go underwater, and they wanted to see how you looked underwater, and when you opened your eyes, if you were pretty or if you looked decent, because obviously if you look like the Grim Reaper underwater, you wouldn't probably get a contract. So a drowned rat, yes. So anyway, that was my audition, was actually having to swim and get into the tank on the lot.
Well, I'm sure I'll just try and be quick because there's a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of the experiences for the audition are the same. But what I can say that was different for me after you got the show was the grueling training you had to do. But I was lucky enough to be in Hawaii, so our training was a little different. So we got to, we had Brian Kailana, who's fantastic. We would go under the ocean with big, huge boulders, have to walk under the ocean with boulders. We had to do underwater holding our breath scenes. We had to do ocean swimming competitions with each other. So it was kind of like an intense thing in the ocean, but it was in Hawaii. So we had such a great time. And that's where Aquaman was created. Jason Momoa was a part of that, and then he becomes Aquaman. But it was a lot of fun in Hawaii.
Okay, so my story is a little bit different. I was on a show called Charles in Charge, and the executive producer from Charles in Charge was working with the executive producers from Baywatch and showing them how a syndicated show kind of works out. And so I was sent over there, and the first idea was that it was going to be a spin-off, and they were going to do a high school show by the beach. So I was never meant to be a lifeguard, so I didn't have to go through the grueling process that these other talented people did. I didn't, thank God. I don't know if I would have been hired. But then I did later. We had to do things like with the rocks underwater at the pool. We did it at the Rose Bowl. So I kind of slid in there.
Well, in my day, back in the old days, we didn't really have, I would say we didn't really have a lot of training up front. Really, they just wanted to see how good you were and see how much they needed to double you or not double you. So the audition process was pretty grueling. It was a lot of back and forth and with the producers and then the writers so once all of that was done, they did bring us to a pool to see our ability and how much they might have to match us with someone. So that's how we did.
My story is also a little different. I was 13 when I was on Baywatch the first time as the first character, and I remember going up to her and admiring her with every ounce of my being and wanting to be just like her. And then I was on again season 5 and 6, I think, and then I got a little show called California Dreams. Thank you. And then when Nicole left the show, I don't know if she knows this, but when Nicole left the show, they called and asked if I would essentially be Summer. And I was on Dreams and couldn't do it, but I was very sad because I wanted to be on the show. Well, cut to 2 years later, I auditioned. And another funny story about that is I went to the audition, I walked in and I walked right out because the room was full of a lot of women that looked like Pamela Anderson, and I did not look like that. And I was just defeated. And my best friend Jenny was in the car. She's like, "What are you doing? Get in there. What is wrong with you? You don't know. Maybe they want you." And I was like, "Okay." So I went back in, and I was the only one there for my part. I didn't know that. So anyway, I said to Greg years later, I'm like, "What would have happened if I would have left?" He's like, "We would have found you." So I was 4 characters on the show, and that's kind of a fun little trivia fact. And I also had to swim a lot because I wanted to be a good swimmer. I wanted to keep up with this guy, so.
Yeah, these are such good stories. They had to, because they really needed to see whether or not they could use you in the ocean in these rescues, and you could perform when we're out there, when the cameras are rolling. They had to test you. Part of my audition, I came in when Gina Lee Nolan came in, and they made us do a swim test at the Y up in the Palisades, and it was like in front of Entertainment Tonight and all the producers. And luckily, I came from the East Coast. I grew up on the ocean. I grew up sailing. My mom came from the Cape, and so I had an ocean background, and I was also on the swim team, and I knew how to drive boats, and I was very comfortable in the water. And so my character specifically was an Olympic hopeful, so an Olympic hopeful swimmer, and that's something you cannot fake. If you see swimming in the Olympics, it's not like, oh, I kind of swim, and okay, you're gonna go portray this on TV. And luckily I had that background, and when we did the swim test, it was like, Greg Bonin especially, who's still at age 72 an active lifeguard, saw, he's like, "Hey, okay, jump in and let's see you do freestyle. Okay, let's see how many underwaters you can do." And I just crushed it, and he was like, I could tell they were like, okay, that's the guy. But my training, my lifeguard specific training, I had already known CPR from teaching sailing and a fair amount of other things, but Mike Newman was the guy who took me under his wing and taught me basically everything, how to do in and outs, how to, like, you know, as you penetrate the ocean, how to release the can at the right time, dolphin out, and then start swimming and, you know, come back in. He taught me how to use up the rescue board, which it's on camera, and it's in the documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen, which is on Hulu right now, but he's like, all right, do you want to try the rescue board? I was like, yeah, dude. And I'm so young and just full of energy and stupid. And as soon as I get on it, I'm like flipping over. But Numi was the guy who really like trained me and gave me all the skills that I use to portray a real lifeguard. Because the cool thing about the show, and this guy just came up to me who was an EMT, and he became an EMT. He learned English watching Baywatch. That's no joke. He's right there, Manny, right? I mean, he told me this amazing story, and it's beautiful. And we heard so many stories over the course of our time on the show about kids around the world who rescued their siblings out of a pool, but because they had watched the show, they mimicked what we were doing, and it was rudimentary, but it was enough to like save a life. So a TV show that's saving lives via entertainment is pretty badass. So I was proud to represent, and I think we all did, and we all wanted to represent in the best way possible, the most authentic way, and really represent lifeguards, because real lifeguards are the real deal, and it's super cool.
So mine is also just a little different, but I was working on another show in Canada, and so Susie brought me down to audition, and so I had to stay at a hotel here, and I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey, which is where, after the audition, they had me do my swim test. The audition process for acting was super easy for me. The swim test was super hard for me and really, really challenging, because I was a smoker then, so I couldn't hold my breath, and I was super nervous. So they threw a quarter into the deep end and said, all you have to do is swim to the deep end and then dive down and get the quarter. Like, so easy, right? I could barely do it because I was so nervous. Yeah. But anyway, so this audition process for me, the hard part was the swim test. And later on in Hawaii, when we were, working in the tank or in the ocean, it was actually the swimming that was hard for me because I would get nervous. So it's a miracle I got this job because I can act, but I can't swim. Also, I want to thank Brandy for the amazing memory of the rocks under the water with Brian Gailana, because that was an incredible workout, an incredible part of stamina, and it actually built my lung capacity so that I could hold my breath longer underwater and actually do the stunts, a lot of them, and really enjoy swimming and the active part of this role, which I loved. So that's a great question.
He's like, what's the question?
I told him.
I didn't audition. Kidding. No, I didn't. But I didn't do a swim test or anything like that. I think they said, can you swim? I said yes. I was on an Australian TV show at the time, playing a jet skier, so sort of morphed into that. And I just learned on the job and faked it.
Yeah.
Faked it.
I can tell you make it.
Yeah.
All the time.
But it was like the audition room was like maybe 25 people in there and myself. And I was leaving to go to the airport on the way, and I think that energy sort of travels with you because your mind's somewhere else. But it was great. Easy peasy.
All right, so moving on, the Baywatch red swimsuits are iconic. Were they just off-the-rack generic swimsuits, or were they designed specially for the show, especially for the person? And also, what was it like having to work so many hours each day and each episode in not much more than a bathing suit? Did it change the way the amount of exercise you did? Maybe change your diet because you were in a bathing suit so much?
Well,
And what was it like wearing them all the time?
Okay, no, for me, I just remembered how those suits kept getting tinier and tinier and tinier, where at one point it was almost like a thong, like, you know, and lifeguards don't wear thongs, but.
You know what, Tracy? They actually do. Honestly, they
Oh,
do.
you've actually seen?
No, because I'm out there watching my daughter in the junior lifeguard program,
They're wearing thongs?
and it is straight up their butt.
Oh, like the Olympics.
Like
Yeah.
like nowadays, because it's like literally more functional.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's not
Easier.
like right up there, but it's
But it's
yeah, it's crazy because I was like.
Brazilian. Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this is like way worse than what Baywatch was doing.
Yes.
And these are like the real women doing the real deal.
Yes, I guess we
So-
started the trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it was it Jansen, ladies, where you would have to get personally custom made for your body, right?
It was
Depends on ranking.
TYR, yeah, and it was TYR and it was also Jensen, I believe. But I just remember being fitted for a suit, and I thought, really, well, but it worked because everyone's suit. Although it looked the same Pantone red, it was different for each person, including the guys, right? It had to fit your body, right? It wasn't just a generic suit. For me, it wasn't. You wasn't really. When I auditioned, I got Pamela's. Yeah, I had. Just to note, my audition, it was, they asked me to put on the suit, and it was Pamela Anderson's. She signed inside of her suit. It was for you too, Angelica. I remember. It was just crazy. I thought, how the hell am I going to fit this suit? But, because she says perfect body, but it fit after I stuffed the boobs. But here you go.
When we started the show back when it was on NBC, the suits were regulation suits. So we started with the real lifeguard suits, and then they would do some nips and tucks if they didn't fit, properly, so that you could actually work in them. But between syndication and when the first show aired, there was a huge difference in swimsuits. When we went syndicated is when the necklines plunged and they became a little, deeper on the sides, more of a thong in the back, but it did not start out that way.
We also, the men on the show,
Generic.
we had to wear the Speedos quite a bit, which were interesting. And if you guys watch the documentary, I talk about it all.
Tell us.
Yes, so, would-be shooting, especially my character was, they'd want me ocean swimming training, and Alexander Paul was my coach, and they're like, all right, we're gonna send you at 6:30 in the morning, and it's June, it's foggy, the water's like 62 degrees, and you're in a Speedo, and you're swimming for pretty much 45 minutes while they get all these shots. They don't want to yank you out of the water, and then you got to come out of the water and shoot a scene on the boat, and there's a significant shrinkage factor, which I talk about in the documentary. So I learned a way to correct that. There's a personal fluffing style you can do. I'd be like, all right, guys, if you're gonna torture me like that, I need like 5 minutes to get a little circulation going, and then we can get going on the scene. And they're like, all right, cool. Yes.
Yes.
I would love to. I would love to. Jason, you liked the Speedo, didn't you?
Well, mine ended up being the title shot in the beginning of the show. It's very fun to watch every time. But apart from that, it's very generic for the guys, I think. But I think for the women in their swimsuits, the difference is that from your trailer to the beach, there's like 500 people with cameras, and it becomes a bit intrusive, and it got a bit crazy there for a little while. As far as safety went for the girls, I felt a bit responsible for that, and so everybody would start wearing robes and everything, and then de-robe at the waterbed. Yeah, Ben just got red suits.
But you definitely didn't want to be eating Twinkies before you had to wear the Speedo, or what the women had to wear, because it's like you're standing there all day in this bathing suit and you're basically naked, and it's like, all right, you want to be fit, so you're starving, you're in the sun, you're exercising, and they have the most insane catering food, but you're like, oh man, if I eat all that, I'm gonna have like this huge gut after lunch. So it's like you gotta be disciplined, it wasn't as easy as like everybody thought it was. Like you're on the beach and blah blah blah. If you gotta control yourself, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you.
I just want to admit I snagged a few for memories, and I framed mine. I think you framed yours. A lot of the girls framed their suits. I know Carmen Electra did, because she saw mine, and then I think Pamela did. And you have to frame it. It's memorabilia. This is legacy. This is great. But yeah, I didn't just take the red ones. I took the black ones too. And I think I kind of wasn't on the one with Hawaii with Brandy, but I managed to get some of those too. But you didn't hear that from me. A little bit of a thief when it comes to shows I work on. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, please share with us, everybody, a favorite remembrance or anecdote from your time working on the show. Could be maybe about Hasselhoff, could be about whatever your favorite scene was, whatever your favorite storyline was. Start from the left or the right, whichever.
No comment. No, I actually was supposed to be, when I started the show, I was told that I was going to be Hasselhoff's love interest. But then it kind of went to Nancy Valen, which is great. But no, my memory, the first day I shot on Baywatch, again, it was David Chokachi. We're both from Massachusetts. And it was just, honestly, David, I have to tell you now, I was so nervous. I don't even think I remember. I think I flubbed every line because I could not believe how gorgeous you were in the flesh. And I mean, just hot. And the men were hot. It wasn't just the hot women. The men were gorgeous. And still to this day, right? Jason and Michael Bergen and even Hasselhoff. It was just, even Numi. And I just want to say, one of my fondest memories was how Michael Newman, he was amazing teaching. Well, I know a lot of the people, and for myself, to teach us, we had to learn how to do the swimming things and the quick swimming and technique and the jet skis and the wing jet, and he was amazing. I love Michael Newman, so I want to say I owe my technique from him. Okay, Angelica, you?
I just remember my first scene on my first day was with David Hasselhoff. So I was terrified, but he comes on the set and he's like, no, singing, like, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's singing at the top of his lungs. And then it just like broke the ice, and then it just helped me relax a little bit because he was singing before the scene. But otherwise, I was just shaking, and I know my lip was like this. I'm like, trying to get the words out. I'm sure we had to do it a couple of times because I was so terrified and I was just shaking. But he definitely made it better with his singing.
That's really hard because I have so many amazing memories from being on the show and just being able to live in Hawaii and creating that tight-knit, wonderful family that we had. But I have to be honest, I think that my best memories now are the ones that I'm creating with all of you guys, because Baywatch has been such a wonderful thing that it's brought us all together. Even though we weren't on the same seasons together, we've been having all these wonderful experiences. Like we went back and did the Baywatch movie that we got to be a part of and work together. And then all the Baywatch reunions and just fun shows like Battle of the Network Stars, Nicole and I got to do, and David and Gina and Lee Nolan. But honestly, just all the fun memories that I've been having over the past 25 years. So that's the memories that I'm taking with me.
That's awesome.
I agree with that. I really do. My first day on the set, I called my manager and I said, I am in the wrong place. There's been a terrible mistake. My first scene was with real lifeguards racing and running to the water, and they wanted me to keep up, and I was horrified. But after that, I really enjoyed all the underwater work. I thought that was really fun. I loved when we would have an underwater set. It was like the little girl in me. I've always been a water baby, so it was just like fantasy come to life. As long as nobody kicked any of the lights, because there's a lot of electrical under there. But it was always the best time for me, so I loved it. And I loved the big octopus attacking me, even though it didn't make for the best episode. It was really fun to do it.
Nicole, quick question, because it was a rumor. Did you guys have to do your underwater work in the ocean? Or did you have the luxury of the tank when you were on the show?
I had the tank.
You did? Do you remember you?
We didn't get the tank until second season. Yeah, we did most of our stuff in the water.
That's intense.
I think for me, my favorite memory was doing the Gilligan's Island show. Working with Bob Denver and Don Wells was just crazy. It was incredible because I grew up watching, so many of us did, watching Gilligan's Island, and it was just fun. Everything about it was such a fantasy, and yeah, so that was my favorite.
Oh, I didn't mean to go that way, sir. I have a lot of really great stories about Hasselhoff. I adore the man, and I feel like we're pretty close, but one cool story, this just epitomizes how generous this man was. He knew that my husband liked the Utah Jazz. I don't know why, but he does. And they were in the finals against the Bulls, and we were watching all the games, and I came into the makeup trailer, and must have been game 4 or game 5. He goes, if they go to game 6, we're going. I was like, what? I watched my first basketball game because I wanted them to win so bad, and sure enough, he took me and my husband, Choke, Bergen, and his nephew on a private jet to Utah. We got courtside seats. Ended the night at Karl Malone's house. It made my husband's entire life, like I'm getting emotional. And people asked, why are you here? What are you doing this for? Oh, well, one of my castmates said it would be her husband's dream. And I was like, I can do that. That was Hasselhoff. And not that he's gone, that is Hasselhoff.
That was so cool. Oh my God. And Jordan, and that was
Jordan's last game?
Yeah, Jordan, and the Bulls won. That was it. That was insane. I have a couple, so Pamela Anderson was mine. TJ and Cody were boyfriend and girlfriend of the show, and our characters were kids. We were kind of like we didn't take ourselves that seriously, and we had a lot of fun. And so they wrote a lot of kissing scenes for us. And when you shoot kissing scenes on television specifically, you're not supposed to use your tongue. But her and I were always like, fuck it, like this is a freebie because we're at work, and the producers never said, hey, stop using your tongues, because it's, we can kind of see what you guys are doing. And so we just kind of, every scene, and we would proceed to kind of keep doing this, and we're both like, oh, that was really fun. That was nice. All right, what's next? That was cool.
Did that have any repercussions?
No? Well, later. There's a little Tommy Lee incident, but that's a different story. And then my other favorite moment would be, we had 2 units. We had a first unit, which was all the scene work, and a second unit, which is all the action and the rescues. And anytime I had second unit, I just loved it because I knew it was going to be a day of, driving boats and jet skis or scuba diving and beating up bad guys. And especially, again, Numi, who's not doing too well right now, anytime I was paired up with Numi, because he was the real deal. He's 6'5", and he was a champion Ironman lifeguard who was just a beast. Nothing fazed him. The cold didn't faze him, nothing. And so if you have rescues with Numi, and I was really good too, I was good in the water. So when the 2 of us had stuff together, it was like, all right, we're gonna have a day of just dominating and driving the Scarabs full speed and kind of up to the Venice Pier and kind of spinning them really close to the pier, and they would let us do stuff that normally they would never let an actor do. But those days were I'll never forget, because you're just you're getting paid to do this stuff, and also to be doing it with a guy of that caliber. I'll never forget that stuff.
The safest I ever felt in the water was when Numi was in the water with us. But my favorite moment from Baywatch Hawaii was the friends I made. I'm still really, really good friends with Simone McKinnon and Krista Allen, and I would say that would be my favorite takeaway. And watching a 19-year-old, really young, really fresh, incredibly ambitious Jason Momoa get his feet in the water and get his feet wet in acting, and watching him dream, and he would tell me, I want to be the next James Dean and Marlon Brando and be like that famous and be that well respected and that well known. And so to see that happen for him has been so beautiful and so fun to watch. Someone who was just a love and a sweetheart get that much success. I'd say that was something really fun for me. And really just every day working in Hawaii is incredible and super fun, right? I mean, we got lucky in Hawaii, Brandy, because it wasn't cold. I kept hearing everyone on the crew and Michael Newman, they would say, oh, you're so lucky you didn't shoot in Santa Monica. Because we were in Hawaii where it was warm almost all the time. And so it was just a beautiful experience all around. I'm done.
My first day was, I pulled in to the garage in the Baywatch truck and swiped the door off nearly, because I was driving on the wrong side of the car. Okay. Then I proceeded to do a stunt fight with David Chabet, and at that point I'd never hit anybody before. And so I actually didn't go back far enough and actually got his lip. So he had to do the rest of the scene with a little bit of a fat lip. So that was a great day for me. Everybody was there watching. I don't think anybody told me how to drive a boat or anything. They just said, go do it. They just like, put us in there and like, go do it. Did anyone get taught to do anything? Said they go do it. They just do it. But working with Yasmin, Alexandra, and this last year with the documentary, after Baywatch documentary Nicole did, seeing everybody now and how we've all come through our life, it's been really special to this year. I think it's been my favorite cast year, I would say.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Let's thank our Baywatch panel here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I just want to say one thing, and I do agree with the whole friendship thing. Like, I feel we are a family forever. Just like the slogan of the show, forever and always, I'll always be there. Just, the opening scene, and we've all come on the show at different times, but I feel such a deep bond forever with you guys, and I just feel, I'm getting chills right now. I was kind of so nervous when I first started on the show, and I feel I'm so relaxed now. I'm older. We're all older. We all look great, and I just feel if I could have been more of myself now, then it would have been better for me. But I just want to thank all of you guys for our friendship now, and I'm just so honored. I mean, I just feel so good about being on an iconic show, and it just means the world to me.